Are you absolutely certain that the person sleeping right next to you tonight is exactly who they say they are? Or are you, like I was for 11 long years, living a beautifully constructed lie with a man who managed to hide an entire secret family just 2 hours away? My name is Elena, and for over a decade, I believed my marriage was a perfect dream. My husband, Mark, was an attentive, deeply loving partner and a fiercely devoted father to our 10-year-old daughter, Chloe. As a senior corporate consultant, his demanding career took him out of state at the end of every single month. I was a trusting wife, so I never questioned why his phone occasionally went straight to voicemail during those travel weekends, or why he called late at night blaming terrible network reception in downtown high-rises. He never missed a school play, showered us with gifts, and provided a luxury lifestyle in our suburban home. Even my in-laws were incredibly warm, constantly reminding me how lucky I was to have married such an honorable man. What I did not know was that the signs of an unthinkable betrayal were constantly flashing right before my eyes. Sometimes I would clear out his sous vide and find receipts for toddler toys that Chloe had long outgrown. Mark would smoothly claim he was buying donations for the office holiday drive. Other nights, his wool coats carried the faint scent of a floral perfume, an anomaly he laughed off, blaming a crowded commercial flight. The illusion was airtight until 6 months ago, when his phone suddenly became a fiercely guarded object, always placed face down. The turning point arrived on a quiet Tuesday night, while Mark was fast asleep beside me. His phone began to buzz incessantly on the nightstand. Plagued by an uneasy feeling, I picked it up. The lock screen displayed a message from a contact saved as AR department, but the preview text read, "Daddy, are you coming home tonight? You promised you'd be here to tuck me in." My heart hammered violently as that single word, "Daddy," echoed in my mind, leaving me paralyzed in the dark. When I confronted him the next morning, Mark didn't even blink. He laughed and explained with terrifyingly relaxed charisma that it was the young son of his regional director, who had grown attached to him during office family days, and called him Daddy, as an inside joke. His delivery was so flawless that I forced my suspicions down, but the seed of doubt had been planted. The catastrophic collapse of my reality occurred weeks later on a rainy Friday afternoon, just hours after Mark had left for his routine monthly business trip. Standing alone in the kitchen, a frantic, heavy knock echoed from the front door. When I opened it, I was met by a damp, exhausted woman whose hollow eyes were filled with blinding rage and profound sorrow. By her side stood 2 young children, and my breath caught in my throat because the little boy's eyes were a piercing, unmistakable, icy blue. They were Mark's eyes. Before I could speak, the woman took a trembling breath and shattered my entire existence into a million unrecoverable pieces, saying, "My name is Sarah. I am Mark's wife, and these are his children. We have been married for 11 years. My mind went completely blank. I had been married to Mark for 11 years too. In that frozen moment, the horrific reality came crashing down. My husband had systematically built, financed, and maintained an entire parallel family just 2 hours away, managing his digital calendars and bank accounts with clinical precision so his 2 distinct worlds would never collide. I invited Sarah inside, and sitting across from each other on the sofa while the rain beat against the windows, the puzzle pieces finally clicked. Sarah revealed that Mark had actually married her 6 months before he married me, making her his first wife. He had spun the exact same corporate lie to her, claiming he had to live in corporate housing on the other side of the state for half of every week. But the most sickening betrayal was that Mark's parents had known the entire time. They had attended both weddings, celebrated holidays with both sets of grandchildren, and actively guarded their son's toxic delusion at the expense of our sanity. Sarah had discovered a dry cleaning receipt slipped into his coat lining featuring an address just 3 blocks from my house. Driven by an uneasy intuition, she drove across state lines, asked a few neighbors about the man in the photos, and traced his deceptive footsteps directly to my porch. Instead of tearing each other apart, an icy, shared anger bonded us, and we decided his 11-year performance was going to end that very night. Sarah dialed Mark's private number, her voice trembling with an artificial panic, as she told him their youngest son had just suffered a catastrophic fall, was bleeding heavily from his head, and that she was frantically driving him to the local community hospital, which happened to be just 5 minutes from my house. Mark panicked over the line, promising to get to the hospital as fast as humanly possible. 2 hours later, Mark didn't go to the emergency room first. Knowing Sarah would be occupied there, and assuming he could create a quick localized alibi, he rushed straight to my house to drop his luggage. When the front door clicked open and Mark stepped into the hallway, he was visibly sweating, frantically typing on his phone. But as he looked up into the living room, the phone slipped from his hand, shattering loudly on the hardwood floor as all the color drained from his face. There we sat, side by side on the sofa in absolute silence, me, Sarah and his 3 children, staring at him with an icy glare. Mark stumbled backward against the wall, his knees giving out as his matrix dissolved in a single second. He collapsed to his knees, tears streaming down his face as he began to pathetically weep and beg for mercy, sobbing, "Please, I love you both so much. I did what I had to do to keep everyone happy." I looked down at the broken creature at my feet and whispered, "Love. You never loved either of us, Mark. You only loved the thrill of the deception and the sick pride of getting away with it." But the fallout was absolute. Both Sarah and I filed for divorce simultaneously, refusing to let his attorneys play us against one another. In open court, the final, darkest layer of his scheme was exposed. Mark had been systematically embezzling millions of dollars through wire fraud from his corporate clients, just to independently fund 2 separate, affluent households. The tech consultancy firm he claimed to work for had actually fired him 3 years prior for financial discrepancies, a detail he hid by renting a secret office and constructing a completely fake corporate email server to send himself imaginary project schedules and fabricated bonuses. Today, Mark is trading his designer suits for an orange jumpsuit, serving a lengthy federal prison sentence for grand larceny and wire fraud, while his enabling parents have been permanently alienated from all of their grandchildren. But out of the ash heap of this nightmare, a beautiful victory emerged. Sarah and I realized that our children share the same blood and deserve to know the truth. We chose to rise above the betrayal, purchasing a home together and raising our children under one roof as true, fiercely protected siblings. Mark thought he was clever enough to divide his life into 2 separate worlds, but in the end, those 2 worlds united to completely destroy him. If your partner's phone rings late tonight, are you really sure you know who is on the other end? Thank you for watching tonight's story on Secret Affair. If this story sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. What would you do if you found out your partner had a secret life?